When it comes to racing and motorsport animes, the first and most popular one that comes to mind is Initial D. And I personally did not watch it, but I know a few friends who did and love it. Here we are going to talk about Overtake, an anime show that focuses on the story about a FIA F4 Japanese racing league and a small passionate team consisting of father Futoshi Komaki, son Kotaro Komaki, serving as the engineer and their number one driver and the only driver, Haruka Asahina. That is not all though. The second and the first introduced main character out of the pair is Koya Madoka, a photographer with a trauma due to his horror-like past event that accidentally stumbles upon racing. The initial impression of Koya is that he's very outgoing and curious-like person. He brings a lot of energy and is very animated compared to the likes of Haruka and Komaki pair. Haruka is very gloomy and seems closed off when it comes to interacting with others. He does not seem like he has many good relationships, as he, for example, multiple times gets into heated dialogues with the likes of Toshiki Tokumaru, a clear rivalry with the most promising team in the division, Belsoriso. We also have Satsuki Harugana, the main driver for Belsoriso, the hot blondie guy, you could say. He gets under Toshiki's teammate and the second driver for Belsoriso's skin a lot, without even trying. Heck, he even has a grid girl, Arisu Mitsuzawa, who has a crush on him and a lot of other fangirls. Toshiki has all the reasons to be jealous. With that said, all of these personality traits and relationships start to slowly develop very quickly, as the anime only has 12 episodes. What does not miss out in this anime, and I really like that, there are connections to real life drivers, specifically Niki Lauda and James Hunt. And it is Satsuki Harunaga who talks about them a lot and has mainly James Hunt as his inspiration. This is something which deeper into the story develops, and I'm going to talk about it. Don't worry, just not now. The thing I want to talk about first are the well-made parallels between the worlds of Koya's photography and Haruka's racing. During one specific race that had extreme weather conditions in rain, that changed from sunny to rain multiple times, the photographer from the very start feels skeptical and wants Komaki Motors to not attend the race. Here we see how the racing team explains that they are aware of the risks, but that they are normal from the racing perspective. In the episode with the extreme conditions where weather changes and the risky plan backfires, the photographer from the very start feels bad about Haruka racing, and despite him and his team stating that these risks are normal from the racing perspective, the photo guy from the more average, let's say civilian, viewpoint shares his concerns, which makes sense. After the Belsoriso crash, we get a traumatic flashback of Koya and his trauma is awakened. And I think if you see this, Sasuke's face says it all. It may be only in his head, but it really deepened and awoken Koya's trauma even more. When approached by a question if Koya still thinks about his past, it is clear that he is still traumatized and has a hard time dealing with taking pictures of people. And not only that, the simple thought is enough to put him into a loss for words. I loved how the anime showed two different worlds of people who grew up in racing and have their decisions and viewpoints heavily affected by that, and people outside of it, like Goya, who maybe, let's say, represents the majority of people that can relate to his thoughts and opinions. Goya, due to multiple of these moments, withdraws from our screen and makes us wonder where the story will go next. We still had Haruka and the racing, but it was clear that the anime wanted to show us not only that, but also Koya's story and his life. During this time, the main characters drove home one very big message to not only one another, but to us as well. When you are missing a spark in life, somebody else can help you with that. But when it comes to mental battles, you yourself have to take that step and overcome it ultimately. Nobody else can do that for you. Speaking of things you need to change, both Haruka now and Koya at one point in his life did not care about their surroundings when they did what they truly love. Toshiki pointed out to Haruka that he drove carelessly without worrying about others or taking them into any consideration. And this statement got to Haruka in one of the scenes, and it made him really think about how he has been acting and what he should do moving forward. After a few doubts of Koya's return back to the plot, he actually did come back. I guess it would be weird if we had not seen Koya soon, but still, at one point in the story, I was really ready to buy into the fact that we would just have Haruka and Koya maybe at the end of the show, maybe not even that. I mentioned previously that playboy guy Satsuki and the brunette girl have interesting relationship. Specifically, in the hospital, it was clear how he seemed more relaxed and acted like himself around her compared to other fangirls. It was cool to see him get inspired by her. The time spent with Arisu made him realize a lot of things about himself and also his viewpoint on James Hunt and Niki Lauda. When he revisited their past and fierce rivalry, he realized that he was trying to become someone he maybe did not want to be in the first place. He relied or gave a lot of credit of his success to luck through the series. But after the talk with the girl, he came to a conclusion that he would rather work hard like Niki Lauda. Every story needs some sort of a twist or a turning point. The twist in this story came when Haru gets to try to drive for Belsoriso. Now we were set to see the development of bond between friends possibly crumbling because of possible transfer due to the money and quality difference of the teams. I'm talking about Haruka and Kotaro. It was clear that both knew that this would change their bond, not because they want, but because it would be a natural playout of the situation. Kotaro himself says in a conversation with his father that in his head it's clear that Belsoriso is a better option for Haruka, but in his heart it hurts. The story successfully got our curiosity out on the surface. What this anime also brings out on surface and does really well is depiction and animation of the eyes when they are supposed to give you a fear and horror-like emotions. It is seen multiple times, but where it was really powerful for me personally was in the scene where Koya gets a 12-year back disaster flashback. The face of a little girl and knowing about her connection with the family personally, it made the scene even more strong. Koya felt like he was responsible for the death and tragedy of the little girl, and the people around him did not help him, leaving him even more traumatized. What stuck with me after one of the episodes is how the anime portrayed that one single moment can turn the fate of a human for worse, like losing his home, having injury, or the worst, lose life themselves or see their loved ones lose theirs. A connection between the earthquake and racing, and how helpless the situation can be, leaving other people or you powerless, without a chance to save them, just left to see it play out. The quote that drilled this into Koya's mind and tries to yours as well goes like this. That child's eyes begging for help are seared into my memory. Every time I look through the viewfinder, I see them. They keep asking me, why didn't you save me? When Koya talked with Haruka about why he posted the disastrous photo with the girl and got hate for it, Koya initially said that it was because he wanted to, but that quickly changed into a more in-depth answer. It was because of the grandfather and his wish for future generations to see and remember what happened. Even in the previous scene, we could see he was afraid that the rural town he lived in would fall into the past and ultimately be forgotten by younger generations. Not only that, but Koya also admitted that he wanted to be freed as he himself named his block as a curse. He sought forgiveness, compassion, and understanding of his actions he took, but that was not there at the time, at least not in a way that would reassure him and help him move on. Back to the Belsoriso Haruka situation. Haruka was suddenly faced with the option of going to Belsoriso. There was a big anticipation of him going there, logically, but after he found Koya in a different city and having spent time with him, he decided to stick to Komaki Motors while he is an amateur before he makes it to the professional racing. Rather than jumping in on a chance of a lifetime, let's say, he decided to use his time and age to enjoy the present and experience what he wants with the people he wants to, before he makes the full leap onto pro scene and gives the top priority to a racing career. In one of the final episodes, after we learn about the old man's health condition, we see Koya visit the grandpa in the hospital. Other family members instantly start acting hostile to him, and then even start fighting each other because of it. One side claiming that it's his fault, other that he did not do anything wrong. But Grandpa, he shows Koya the support he needed. The genuine support he showed in the last moments of his life were strong, and seeing Haruka there standing up for him as well and being by his side helped him finally regain himself, I would say. The characters showed what it means to be there for each other, and that it is not easy understanding someone unless you really try, and the person themselves lets you in their world. You don't fight anyone else but yourself. In the ending episodes of the show, that's what Tokumar realized by racing Haruganagan. For the majority of the series, he did not know what exactly was the difference between him and Harugana. He had a lot of interpretations of him. He believed Satsuki was a playboy, the perfect number one driver, the face of Belsariso, and that he did not need to feel any pressure to perform. But that was wrong. As much as Tokumaru struggled with himself, Harugana did too the whole time. He was racing first, and had only people behind, putting pressure on him, only because of the incident Harugana had. If that did not happen, he would probably never ever take the number one spot at the team and would not have reached the heights and realizations like this. The story ends with Haruka finally finding his footing with himself and others and winning a race, stepping onto the top podium spot like once his father did when he took him there. Koya takes his picture, and not just one as he initially said, he takes tons of them, showing that burning passion and love for photography that was lost and looked for the entire show.